What's up, everybody? Marhan13 here. Yes, I see what time it is. I just got off work like barely an hour ago, and just wanted to have me a little break. You sitting down at home since I got that house to myself. Lovely. But let's get on with this video. So we start right off where we left off. Zuko walking outside his house, with him seeing Katsuki waiting for him. With Katsuki asking him, does he know? Well, Katsuki basically telling him that he was taking too long and asking him what he was doing, Mr. Fastest Thing Alive. With Zuko deciding to duck the question, telling him that he was just taking his sweet time and taking a quick nap before. With Zuko then following up with asking Katsuki he'll race him to UA. With him also saying no chaos control, that'd be cheating. And with this, the two boys take off in a blinding speed of blue and red. Or, I guess, yellowish, whatever color. Yeah, no, never mind, I'm going with the... You know, considering the fact that Kirishima is ready, I'm gonna make it yellow. Yeah. So, I'm gonna make it Sonic X colors for Katsuki's speed here. Since we already got Kirishima with red, kind of be... you get what I kind of mean, right? But yeah, we have Zuko and Katsuki take off. A blue streak and yellow falling behind. With the two just kind of going on a little tangent talk. I mean, they only really get to talk for about a minute before they're both at UA. With Zuko barely making it ahead by an inch. But with that being said, the two would then walk into UA. With them not being as late as Zuko was in canon, but, well, not really being all that much late at all. And just as they're about to get to the door, Zuko feels a tap on his shoulder as he turns around to see Ochako. With her telling him she was almost getting ready to call him or go over to his house itself to grab him. With her also asking him what he was late for. With Zuko then remembering the mirror and what's been going on with him for the past few months. But he quickly brushes off her worries and asks her, let's just go sit down. Now then, they go sit down and... Most of the Class 1A knows each other here in this timeline. And so, while some of them... And to be completely honest, I'd say the ones that know each other would kind of be famous, at least the teenagers. I mean, they're the people with chaos powers. So for the ones that don't have them, would kind of see them as better, or at the very least, famous, since they've been all over the news, people talking about them daily. And also just the phenomenon of what happened because of chaos energy spreading over the world. And so some people are, actively wanting to talk and meet. Just people actively talking to the Chaos Kids, or whatever. Not Chaos Kids for now until I figure out a better name. So yeah, and this is when they meet Aizawa. Now then, thing goes mostly as in canon, except for the fact that, again, I'd say that at least Izuku would know who Aizawa is from how close he is with All Might. And I feel like, in turn, Ochako and some of the other very close people with Izuku, like Kirishima, will also know that that's Aizawa. So Ochako wouldn't really say anything about missing orientation here, as she already knows the man personally enough to know what's about to happen. Which, let's get into the training. Now then, now I'm just gonna go over stats because I don't really feel like it makes sense to go over speed ties for Izuku and Katsuki. For the strength test, it's actually pretty close between Ochako and Ejiro, with him barely squeezing out, with him barely being stronger than her. With Ochako being a little bit miffed about it, but taking it to the loss. And, things would end up different here. I mean, really the ball test. Zuko would, I'd say adding his already normal powers onto it, plus one for all. I'd say give him about second place, or at the very least he ties with Ejiro, who's, again, as strong as Zuko is fast, so... I'm going to say that he takes the place for strength here. Again, it is the strongest person in 1A, physically at least. Now then, Aizawa then tells him that he was messing with them about expelling them. And, things go on, yada yada. Yeah, things basically go on. I don't really know how to explain this day better. Which I should also probably mention, this is going to the USJ. We're doing arcs here. But, yeah. Let's keep it going. So, yeah, then they get into their first few days of class. I don't really know how to make it all that more interesting here. Even with their personalities being different, I don't think things would change all that too much for their first few days until their training days. Which, speaking of training days, we get to it right here and now. Now then, teams are the same as in original. So let's just go over a few outcomes. For Ejiro, he just kind of, I don't really know how, he brings basically the building down. Or at least half of it. And then scares the others into buzzing off as he just grabs it. For Shoto, he still freezes it, but he's also more mindful of the people around, actively making sure while his ice is cold enough to freeze it, to not accidentally give someone frostbite. Since he's a lot less cold around here. Mina, yeah. Some of the characters do better. Obviously, the ones with chaos powers win, since, be honest, I really don't see how normal students of 1A could win confrontation with chaos powered people. If they, along with the fact they had quirks too at the exact same time. Now then, we get to what we're really here for. Ochako and Izuku versus Katsuki and Tenya. Yeah, Tenya. Almost. So then, Tenya's really the only one here that doesn't really know what's going on. Sure, he's heard about all of them, and so he has plans, but be honest, this is really a fight between Izuku and Katsuki, and not Ochako and Ida. Ida gets handled pretty quickly from either Ochako's hammer, he gets handled a lot of ways here. So this is really just a fight between Izuku and Katsuki. Now then, we get to, basically, Ida, Katsuki lets Ochako go deal with Ida as he just wants this to be him and Izuku. They haven't had an actual fight since before Katsuki left, and that was before Maria died, so it's been a while. So now then, this fight starts with the boys just glaring each other down, wondering who's going to make the first move. While Katsuki is a lot more calm and chill out than his canon counterpart, he's still the first one to strike, rushing forward with his speed and explosions, leading out a giant explosion that blows up the entire room. Basically, it looks like what his normal howitzer impact would look like. Basically setting off an explosion with Izuku barely dodging out of the way using a spin dash before rolling back in and giving Katsuki a double kick to the face. With Katsuki and Izuku then clashing in the air for a little bit, with him blocking Izuku punches. When Izuku comes down, Akatsuki goes for a sweep, only for Izuku to basically cheat physics by using his spin dash in the air again to make him basically stop in the air before using a homing attack to send Katsuki flying back through a wall. Now then, before the dust can even settle, 3 Chaos Spears are launched out of the smoke with Izuku barely dodging them, only for them to then explode. Only for them to then explode while around him, leaving him disoriented for Katsuki to come in, grabbing Izuku by the face, and letting off a chaos explosion. Again, this time actively blowing a hole through the building. This leads to Izuku on the floor, shaking his head, as he tells Katsuki that he's going to have to try a lot harder than that to get him down. As he then charges up his own power with One For All, as he makes a massive jump using 15%, catching Katsuki off guard as he hits him with a Detroit smash right to the jaw. Basically, this sending a giant air pressure wave that blows up the top half of the building, sending a bigger hole through it, sending Katsuki along with it, with Izuku then following suit with the two clashing in the air. Punches, kicks, rights, left, blocked, and blocked. With Katsuki eventually grabbing Izuku by the legs, spinning him around and throwing him through a pillar into a wall on the top floor where the bomb is. With Izuku spin dashing as a way to recover faster, speeding at Katsuki, basically nearly blasting him outside the room. With the two going into this combat, Ochako decides that it's time to call it. But before she can, Katsuki throws a Chaos Spear nearly at her head, telling her that the bomb's off limits and this doesn't end until Himurazuku goes down. As, well, he wants this. This is when the two then clash once again. Basically speeding all around the room. Izuku hitting him with another Detroit smash to the face, sending him flying back. With Katsuki deciding that enough is enough. As he untwists his inhibitor rings, chaos energy spewing out of his body. With Izuku deciding to go up all the way to 25%, hurting his body while using his own speed. Now then, All Might's getting ready to step in, but he knows that the boys need this fight if they don't have... Basically, the other students besides the one that knows the two are asking All Might why he isn't stepping in. With All Might explaining that it's better they fight in the controlled area instead of going off of... These boys have been waiting for a fight like this, and it's better to have them fight in a controlled area than to have them fight alone, unsupervised, as he himself believes that it would be 1,000 times worse to let that happen. And so, the hell? Okay, let's ignore that. And so, Izuku and Katsuki charge at each other. Izuku rushing in at full speed, Katsuki as well, being even about as fast as Izuku now. It's a two clash, basically destroying the entire rest of the top half of the building, wiping it out completely from the ensuing explosion. The two staring. When the dust settles, Katsuki is unconscious. Not just from Izuku's punch, but from overasserting himself, which basically put about every last bit of power he had into that hit with his explosion. And while Izuku was hurt badly, i.e. burns on his arms, he still wins. With that being said, Ochako, who's basically been protecting the bomb and is also a little sketched for her too, finally touches the bomb, ending the battle. Now then, medical droids are called in immediately to take both of these two idiots, where Recovery Girl proceeds to scold both of them, asking them what the hell they were thinking of doing that. After quick apologies are said, Izuku and Katsuki give a friendly handshake. Joining the fight, while then Aizawa also comes in to scold them, with Inko and Mitsuki also scolding them. So, just been a fun day for them. And with that, the training day is over. Now then, things go on for... Oh shit, I forgot hero costumes. Oops. I was so busy on how I had the fight planned out, written out and everything. I memorized what I read out and everything. I forgot hero costumes. My bad, everybody. Now then, mostly everyone's hero's costume is mostly the same. Although the first change starts up with Mina, who has more of... Okay, basically the only thing that's really different is her bodysuit, as it's been changed out with Rouge's bodysuit. Before you say anything, I mean the more modern, censored one. So the one that covers her back and covers up more of her chest. That one. The modern one. The one that, Basically, I'm talking about the current design, like the last one we saw in Shadow Generations. She has that kind of version of Rouge's outfit, along with her brown jacket on, as well from her normal outfit and her mask. Now then, we go to Ijiro. Ejiro. Why the hell did I say his name like that? He's wearing he's really just wearing the same thing as in canon. I don't know. Like again, the only thing that's different is he has support gloves, like metal spikes on his hand that help him dig through the ground. And solid more boots, but that's about it. Now then. Otako's is the same. Shoto's is his current one in Season 6. Shoto's suit is the one he has right now in Season 6 and 7. While he's more okay with using his fire if he has to, he still doesn't want to, but he knows he had to design his suit around it. And so, thus, season 6. He has a season 6 suit. Now then, it's time for. Really, it's time for our two main characters. For Izuku. Well, actually, no, I'm going to start with Katsuki first. Why not? For Katsuki, he has around a simple black jacket like coat. Something, basically a long sleeve version of Mina's, as she basically made him get the same one for each other. Except, short and brown. He has a black and white one, along with, I'd say, black and red goggles. The lenses being red to cover his eyes with his speed. With him having. Now then, here's the thing. Because Katsuki can just outright cause bigger explosions thanks to chaos power and, also because of the whole, he's shadow stuff. So, you can expect what happened he's the ultimate life form and stuff. And so, Katsuki doesn't really need his gauntlets like he does in the original. His explosions are already bigger, and that doesn't take into place like Chaos Blast or his Chaos Explosions, which are basically as big as what he can do with how... I just realized I called it Howard Stern Impact. I meant his gauntlets. I did not mean that. Oops. Basically an explosion as big as his normal one with his fully charged gauntlets. He can make those explosions with his bare hands in this timeline. So he doesn't need the giant grenades on his head. However, Katsuki is smart. And so instead, right now, he currently has green grenades on his belt, filled with his nitroglycerin, thanks to the design and help of Koda. This also leads to... Well, he basically made these mini grenades for Katsuki for him to store his sweat in, and the moment he pulls the pin, it reactivates his sweat, turning it, and basically it's a bomb. Katsuki decided not to use them as, well, he just wanted to purely fight Izuku. And now we have the Blue Blur, the hero of the wind himself, Izuku Midoriya. Now then, Izuku's costume is more of a mix of his original one with something new. He still has, his black boots to help... No, he still has his black metal boots to help with his kicks and stuff, and along with his gloves from season... I say his costume is more of a season 5 outfit look. Again, thanks to Koda for the help. And, they do have the Wild Pussycats backing them up to help with making their costumes, especially for the Midoriyas, for taking care of Koda when they can't. So yeah, I say that he still have the gloves and stuff, but things change. He doesn't have the bunny mask here, as with him having his hair wrapped back to look spiky. He looks more kind of like a hedgehog. And so while he does also have his gas mask, he also has goggles being blue and green lenses, along with the fact that they usually rank around his head, with him having his own jacket being, pure blue and white, and along with having Sonic's signature shoes. I forgot to mention that Katsuki also has Shadow's shoes. I can't believe I forgot to do that before we got into the fights. But let's just, I had it written down, but I am kind of tired, though. Who knows? But, let's get on to it. So, few days after everything has passed, it's time for the USJ. Now then, Azawa is basically going over the whole spiel now then. And I say the students that don't know him, they basically ask about their chaos powers while explaining their quirks. With Izuku also giving the BS explanation that his quirk is superpower. So yeah, let's get into things. Things go about normal for everything that happens. So, yada yada, until a League of Villains show up, as someone shows up with them. A man in a flying vehicle. Now I think about it, what the hell do we call Eggman's, his flymobile, his little car, or whatever we call it. Just be like whatever we call it. His little flying car. Now then, this is a man with dark brown hair, dark brown mustache. Yep, a dark brown mustache, a red and black jumpsuit with light arms and gloves on his hands. Now then, he pronounces himself as Dr. Ivo Robotnik, as he then proceeds to let out that him and the League of Villains are here to capture the heroes. And how he specifically wants the Chaos, how he basically wants the Chaos Emeralds from the group. They have about no, I'm pretty sure 5 are. They have 4. Katsuki has the 5th with the green one. Basically, he wants the last 5 Chaos Emeralds to help out his 2. Now then, this sets Kirishima off immediately, as if you remember from the last part, which no, I don't think my dumbass explained it, but he was teleported to Angel Island when he was teleported to Angel Island when he was teleported away back in part 1. And he did, in fact, take up the role as Guardian of the Master Emerald and learned about the emeralds from reading their hieroglyphs and things. So, this sets him off as someone's trying to affect what he sees as his purpose now, besides just being a hero. And this is when Korigiri pops up. Now then, he basically tricks them into falling into the portals here, with Ida still getting out. Now then, we get to Izuku, who is falling through the air and sees the water, with him almost immediately, well, not freaking out. He just kind of turns into a ball, and dives right down. Now then, he proceeds. Shit, fuck my eye. Damn. I think something's in my eye. Okay, no, screw it. Just gotta keep going. So yeah, after he dives down, he proceeds to start moving his arms fast enough to start creating whirlpools to suck the villains he sees down there in, while also pushing himself back up. After this is done, he launches in the air and sends out a few air pressure blasts to basically scatter him about before landing on the boat. Doing a cool pose or something, I don't know. Now then, he talks with Suyu and Mineta, and proceeds to launch themselves off the boat. Now then, they do this so much faster in canon here that, they do it so much faster than canon here that they get to Aizawa to see him currently getting his rocks kicked in by the Nomu. Now then, Izuku steps in immediately, using One for All, just punching it, realizing it doesn't work, before spinning around it and punching it some more. Now then, yes, Shigaraki still tries, but Izuku's way faster than Nomu here. So, he gets his drop kick to his side. I say that the air pressure from Izuku kicks knocks him back, and then Nomu got there to survive, to keep him alive. Since, if you remember, actually, Izuku was going to the kill for a full power punch there. Shigaraki himself said it. Now then, this leads to Izuku versus the Nomu. Now then, Izuku tries his standard spin dashes, homing attacks, stuff like that. When he realizes this isn't working, he kicks it up a notch, turning on it one for all. Now then, just in this moment, 3 Chaos Spears end up stabbing the Nomu in the back before exploding it, revealing Katsuki and Ejiro there with him, along with Shoto, who they picked up along the way. Now it's a 4v1. Izuku and Katsuki are the first to rush in, launching at the Nomu, with them basically slamming in it so hard the ground cracks beneath them before it throws them away, with Kirishima pulling up, punching the Nomu, actually actively knocking out a solid chunk of it, for punching it again and sending it flying back, with him then proceeding to clash with the thing, with him being the only one really physically strong enough to deal with it. So he clashes with it, his knuckles, until it also breaks the metal spikes he has, with it also getting the upper hand, sending him back. Now then, this leads to Shoto. Long story short, sit back. While this is happening, Izuku is unconscious. And in his head, he sees something. Maria. He can't make out what she's saying, but she's saying, get up. And unknown to Izuku, Katsuki is having the same thing. And thus this leads to both brilliant blue and yellow lights sparring in the air. As Izuku and Katsuki get up, their eyes both now blue and yellow respectively, their power surging within them. Are, if layman terms, what Sonic does at the end of Sonic Movie 1, which I don't get why he never does again, unless I'm not remembering the other two movies right. But you get what I meant. And now then, this leads to Izuku and Katsuki basically jumping all around the USJ, being basically jumping off of one wall to another, going around the entire USJ in seconds. Looks like nothing but blue and yellow flashing light moving all around for everyone to see. And this is just when All Might gets here. But as he sees what's happening, he sees Izuku and Katsuki then immediately slam down in the nose, bringing its head hard enough in the ground to where not only does it ricochet off, the Nomu's skull damn near breaks, the brain being exposed. Now then, Izuku and Katsuki then charge up one good attack, with them both yelling out Chaos Cannon, as a giant energy beam shoots out, blasting the Nomu into the sky, and damn near evaporating it, sending it flying through the stratosphere. Now then, Izuku and Katsuki, they pass out after this. And while they pass out, we take a quick little flashback to see what Katsuki was doing. Basically, while Katsuki is walking, he ends up meeting Ivo Robotnik. When him realizing that Robotnik is his mother's maiden name, he asks him what's up. With Ivo explaining who he is, and basically saying how hurt he is that his dear sister wouldn't talk about him, even though he's the one that practically raised her after their father became aloof after their mother's death. So now then, we take a quick stick back to see Eggman in the air, with him having his signature smile on his face, as he then flies away out of the hole where the Nomu went. Although this is only after scanning Izuku's biodata. This will be important later. If you know, you know. So after this, Shigaraki ends up dipping, with All Might getting down there to check on his stepson and also his step-nephew, or whatever Mitsuki is. Because they act like they're family, so I guess step-nephew. You get what I mean. Ooh, had to take a breath with that one. Okay, so yeah. Now then, after this, they find a Nomu and realize what's happening, with All Might realizing that All For One may just be alive. And basically, 1A also celebrates. Not really anyone was severely hurt besides like Izuku and Katsuki, and they've gotten fixed up by Recovery Girl. Well then, unknown to everyone else, even All For One, we see Eggman return to one of his bases, something that looks like a egg-sized version of his face. As he enters it, he starts typing on a computer, and then plugging in the information from his computer, from his mobile, or whatever we call it. And thus, schematics of Izuku himself pop up, going over his biometric data, his date of birth, his body type, his blood type, everything. This leads to the doctor smiling as he presses a button, Operation Meta, and then Operation MS0 begins. And with that, everybody, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna call it. With that,